Peace and abundant divine blessings. You're now listening to the tone of voice of the master sound therapist, master sound healer, and the grand architect of the universe. Peace and abundant divine blessings. Well, all right, now let's talk about divine truth. Divine truth is something that our people have been lacking for such a long time. Coming out of 422 years of bondage, it's really taken its toll on many of our people. A lot of the elders that came before us, and I'm mainly going to date it back between the early part of the 60s, the 70s, and even the 80s, and maybe the beginning of the 90s.
In the meantime, we're going to bring on my next guest, who is actually a host here on WBNN, none other than Huni, Brother Huni Bak Atun. How are you tonight, Huni? And welcome again to News Forum.
I'm doing excellent. How you doing tonight?
I am fine, thank you. Okay, Huni. So you heard Shani speak, and I think you heard the gentleman before her. Now, for the measure of a man, what is your definition of the measure of a man?
Wow, I can really go in. Honors to everybody who spoke before me. Now, as in reference to the great late Dr. Martin Luther King, I want us to start focusing on what he said at the end. And I give thanks to our CEO for making me aware of something. And it was through him that I actually heard, and I'm talking about our CEO of our great company of WBNN, okay? And that's the good doctor himself, okay, Dr. O, Brother O, all right? And towards the end, he made me aware of one of the speeches that they do, seem like everything in their power to try to hide. When he spoke about, I feel like I integrated my people into a burning house. And he spoke about, when we return to Washington this time, we're going to collect our check, okay? And he was talking about how they was giving all kind of people that was migrating to this country, especially European people, right, through the white power structure, is to empower them through money, gave them land, pretty much everything that they needed in order to be able to be successful in this land. But they didn't do it for us. And he said, and go back and look it up if you have it. He said that it's funny, when you do all of that for other people, and you say, tell a man to pull himself up by his own bootstraps. He said, well, that's very convenient, but if you don't have any boots to pull anything up on, that's the one that I want us to really, really concentrate on. Now, the measure of a man. Honest to that last sister that spoke, because everything that she said is what I was able to experience by being a student under one of the greatest leaders and teachers our world has ever seen. And I'm talking about in the form of Dr. Malachi Z. York, okay? Me, well over 33 years by me being a student of him. And pretty much everything that last sister spoke about, we did. Not just, in the heart of America, in Bushwick, Brooklyn, right? There was a community that was called the Ansar Allah community. And the leadership at the time was known as Esid El-Imam Isa El-Haki El-Mahdi, right? And he was able to take us, and I'm talking about Native Americans, various parts of the continent of Africa, and pretty much all areas of this planet. And he was able to set that up. And one of the things in which he was able to do is he was able to provide a better comprehension of when it came to the scriptures, religion, which was one of the greatest tools that's ever been used as us as a people. Because when you start talking about, and I ain't talking about spirituality, I'm talking about religion, they use that as a tool to further divide us, which is right here today. Even in 2024, if you was to take three brothers, let's say from the three prominent religions, and they was to come on and say one brother's the Christian faith, and they was all in a park, and one brother was all, he's a Christian, right? And he believed in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And he said, I greet you in the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? And then another brother come in and say, I greet you in the name of Yahweh, right? And, he can say shalom and peace and all kind of things, right? And then another brother can come in and say, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, right? The next thing that's going to happen, right, without religious comprehension, is going to break loose. Because we haven't got to that state of being able to comprehend all of these scriptures, not so much that, from the things in which we've been taught. And again, I give credit in the measure of a man for all the things that great sister spoke about. I experienced this personally. We had our own land. We had our own languages. We had our own books. We had our own pretty much money. And not just in a remote part of outside of Atlanta, in Eatonton, Georgia, there was a total of 472 acres of land that we own. But it's not the only place that we own. Like I mentioned before, the measure of a man. For over 20 years, we went into one of the roughest sections in Brooklyn, right? Bushwick, Brooklyn. And over 20 years, we had 24-hour security. So all the things that I know personally that we can do this if we stop playing. I have always said that, and even me, that I have been a part of a ministry for well over 38 years by trying to get us to, I won't even say really re-educate ourselves, but to offer a better comprehension, because, you can read all you want, but if you don't comprehend what you read, not based on somebody else's warped thought, then it makes it impossible for you to come into unification with your own mind first. And then dealing with other people from your family to your surroundings, including all neighborhoods. So I would measure that, again, by me being a student well over 38 years of some of the greatest. Thank you so much.